Thank you. Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Here.
Councilmember Steve Carrington.
Here.
Councilmember Richard Best.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs.
Here.
Mayor Edna DeVries.
Here.
All members present, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, what I'd like to do, I have already apologized to Councilman Daniels privately a number of times, but I want to apologize to him publicly for ignoring him regarding council comments the other night. And what he said to me was, well, I was relieved because I didn't know what I was going to say. But I felt like since I made that mistake, I wanted to do it publicly, but I think he was probably telling me not to do it. So anyway, I'll let him share part of the blame. But anyway, I wanted to put that on the record. So, okay, we'll all rise, and now I'll ask him to lead us in the pledge. So please do that. Go ahead, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda, and what is the wishes of the council? Yes, Councilwoman Valeris?
Madam Mayor, I move to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda, including the consent agenda and the approval of the 2 minutes, both the special and the regular council meeting minutes from September 8th. Is there any comments, amendments, questions on the agenda?
Mayor.
Yes, Councilman Bass, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Mhm.
I ask that we move action memorandum 20-071, 72, and 73 to new business 3, 4, and 5
Okay.
for discussion purposes.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we move, so that would be under the approval of the agenda, approval of the consent agenda, item B, action memorandum 20-071, C, action memorandum number 20-072, D, action memorandum number D-073, to the backside of the agenda under new business, and they would be listed 3, 4, and 5. Did I interpret your motion correctly, Councilman Best?
And Madam Mayor, sorry, my eyes failed me a little bit. That would also be 74, and that would add an additional number on new business as well. My apologies.
So a total of 4.
Oh, so
items.
4 instead of 3. I'm sorry.
So it's all the action memorandums.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I misunderstood your motion. Okay.
No, that was me. That was me. I failed to read all 4 of them.
Okay. Oh, okay. Alrighty. So the amendment that you'll be voting on is to move under the approval of the agenda, the approval of the consent agenda, item B, C, D, and E to the backside of the agenda under new business. They will be items 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, is that the correct amendment, sir?
Correct, and if the second would approve that as well, I apologize.
Agreed.
Okay, so that's great. Any questions on the amendment or comments on the amendment? Okay, Madam Clerk, if you will take the roll on the amendment, please.
Councilmember Richard Best.
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Jill Valerius.
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Berberink.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Combs.
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Now before us is the amendment, or the main motion as amended to approve the agenda. Is there any further amendments or questions or comments regarding the approval of the agenda motion as amended? Okay, Madam Clerk, if you will take the roll then for the main motion, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Joe Valerius.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Combs.
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Bast.
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Berberick.
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Now for an item that is not on the agenda, because we wanted to keep it as a surprise, so. So Bruce, if I can have you come up, please. Okay, thank you. Is it on? Yeah. So on behalf of the city of Palmer, the greater Palmer Fire Service area, and just the community of Palmer, we just thank you for all that you've done, but especially for the last 40 years of serving in the fire department. And I want to shake your hand, been a longtime friend, and just really have appreciated so much what you've done, and hopefully you can find a place to display that.
Oh, yes.
Okay, would you like to say a few words?
Not really.
Okay.
I will say that I was just talking to a couple of our firefighters, the chiefs here, is 40 years of carrying a pager does not do wonders for your health.
Oh, okay.
So my blood pressure has gone down considerably since I turned in my pager to Chief Lundin. And
get a full
but
night's sleep now every once in a while, do
every
you?
once in a while, but they're not free of me. I'll still come in and harass them. And,
Okay, well, you
and-
check up on them for us,
yeah,
okay?
And your city manager has allowed me to help on the selection committee for the new one, so.
Oh,
I'm
great.
still getting my
You're gonna get your 2 cents in there, good. Still, you're
Yes.
still gonna contribute, and I know
Yes.
you will, and thank
Thank
you
you.
very much, sir.
Thank you.
Do we need to go outside? No, this is it? Okay. We have some tissue paper if you'd like to wrap it, or you're fine? Oh, okay. Thank you. We did the easy part here. Okay, the next item on our agenda is communication and appearance request. And Sam, if you'd like to come forth, please. And I don't know, did the clerk, before you begin, did the clerk get to you a copy of that book that we got last night, that the council got regarding the colonists from the Department of Interior? Did you get one of those?
I've seen it, I don't have a copy of it yet for the museum, but yeah.
Okay. I know the clerk has ordered some, so we want to be sure that, you know, you get one or at least know how to get it. There was a letter inside that gave the instructions regarding, you know, how to get some more copies and things like
Excellent.
that. So, okay.
You get a council member who's not here right now.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, thank
It's-
you.
Yeah.
I think you just heard.
Dang it!
All righty, go ahead with your presentation. Thank you.
All right, good evening. My name is Sam. I am the director over at the Palmer Museum of History and Art. This is your annual report about the Museum and Visitor Center. So we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We contract with the city to provide museum and visitor center services. We've handled the museum contract since 2005 and the visitor services one since 2012. And I like to think we've taken it and run with it, expanded it from just keeping an eye on the collection and keeping the doors open for visitors coming in, and kind of helping to lead the charge with Palmer becoming a tourist-friendly town and kind of communicating the strengths of this place to visitors. So I'll talk about our visitor center operations first. 2020 was projected to be a record year for tourism. There were record numbers of bookings, and it went a little differently than we expected. We were closed for the first part of the year. And just to kind of give a little bit of a background of the tourist industry impact, in 2019, tourism was the biggest, or the 10th largest industry in the state. It's a $4.5 billion industry. And about 2.3 million visitors came to the state. Those numbers are from the Alaska Travel Industry Association. And in 2020, 100% of all cruises were canceled to the state this year. Air traffic to the state was down 53%. And the number of vehicles coming over the Canadian border went down from 144,000 to 13,000. So those aren't cheerful numbers, but we did still have a visitor and tourist season in Alaska. It just looked a lot different than what we usually do. So at the visitor center, we're part of. Oh, you can come in. No, you're good. So we're kind of we're part of a several layer operation of marketing Alaska to visitors from outside. The top, you've got the state, Alaska Travel Industry Association, who put millions of dollars out into television ads. Come to Alaska, it's beautiful, it's outdoors, it's easily to social distance. Then you, of course, with such a large area, you break it down into regions. So we have the Mat-Su CVB with the borough, who do an excellent job of marketing the Mat-Su Valley to visitors. You know, hey, come to Denali, come see Palmer, come see Glen Allen, but that's still a big area, about the size of West Virginia. So where we come in is we market Palmer. So we try and encourage people to come spend their time and their money in Palmer, and also when they get here, we provide frontline concierge services. I'll learn to say that word one day. For folks who come in. And what that looks like is people come, they want a personal recommendation. They want to know why Palmer is Alaska at its best and what to do here. And so what we do is we help people find ways to spend their time and money in the town. One, because we're nice people and we want them to have a good time. But two, because tens of thousands of dollars in marketing carry very little next to a personal recommendation from friends or family that says, hey, if you're going to Alaska, you need to stop by Palmer. And so that's what we do at the Visitor Center. And normally we've been consistently above 30,000 travelers. This year, I think we're rocking a strong 6,300, but we were closed for a couple months. So those numbers are on page 90 of the packet if you'd like to look at them. Kind of on that next level, destination marketing for Palmer, marketing Palmer as a whole unit, not just any specific business or attraction. We launched a website this year called Visit Palmer. It's part of a marketing project in partnership with the Chamber. You can go to visitpalmer.com and you can see directories of local businesses. You can see travel articles written by professional writers talking about your top 5 family hikes or eating your way around Palmer, stuff like that. We've got dozens of trail maps. We've got a recreational calendar. It was an interesting calendar this year, but we keep tabs on what's going on around town, what events, what concerts and whatnot. And it's all in one place. So our marketing dollars, such as they are next year, are going to go pretty heavily into this. So you can check that out at visitpalmer.com, and we partner with the Palmer Chamber of Commerce to bring that service to you. The other thing we produce is the Palmer Visitor Guide. We started that in 2018. It's this cute little booklet for those of you who are here. And what that does is we distribute 30,000 copies of those around the state, not just to other visitor centers, but also to restaurants, hotels, tourist attractions around. And that's to get the name Palmer out, to get it in people's thoughts as they're traveling around, and really aimed at those independent travelers in their RVs or their cars, to get them to come to Palmer. And they're an important demographic because unlike folks on a tour bus who are here for 30 minutes and then gone, independent travelers have a lot of control over their itinerary and a lot of time that they could choose to spend here, and we want them to spend it in Palmer. We did not produce we did not sell ads to produce a visitor guide for next summer. I didn't feel it was very conducive with the tourism environment, and I didn't want our partners who had supported the book for 2020 to just see a bunch of them go in the recycling bin. So we'll be distributing these out through next year, and we'll be producing another guide next summer.
Okay.
It's funded largely through ad sales, through some generous distribution funds from the city of Palmer. You guys usually kick about $5,000 to us to help pay to get it out around town.
Right.
And then a lot of the rest of it usually comes out of our pockets or what we've sold from the gift shop. And then the last kind of visitor service that we offer, although it's a bit of museum historic walk. We've been doing that for 3 years now, so every day in the summer we take people out on a walk. Important one because it gives me a chance to talk about Palmer history, and I need that a lot even with my job, but it also provides an activity in town, not just for another important demographic that come to Palmer, but a lot of them don't come to stay. We're a driver discretionary stop for Premier and Princess a lot of the times, which means they can stop here or Sutton for their lunch and bathroom break. So if we want to actually be part of their featured tour, because they're trying to sell a package as well to their visitors, they want them to have a good time. Having an activity in Palmer for them to do is beneficial. In 2019, we did contract with Premier and Princess, and they turned the stay for a pilot program of their buses from half an hour to an hour into a 2 hour to 3 hour stay.
Okay.
So that's them taking the tour, that's them having lunch, and then that's them going shopping. We had quite a few more tours contracted with them this year, but 2021 will be our summer to expand that. But it is important because they do want an activity. I mean, I think walking around Palmer is a great activity in and of itself, but for those people on board, having something, an activity, a shopping opportunity, and a food opportunity all packaged together goes a long way. All right, so I'm going to switch over to the museum operations. We didn't have as many visitors this summer, but that just gave us a lot of time to work with the collection. So our museum contract, we take care of the city's collection of historic artifacts. And this year we launched the Matanuska Valley Historical Photo Project, which I'm excited about. In 2017, we started really making a push to collect photographs. They're wonderful, wonderful little artifacts that convey a tremendous amount of information relative to their size. And as of right now, I think with MEA's donation, we just passed 11,000 photos in our collection. And some of them are shots that you might have seen of Palmer before. A lot of them are excellent shots that I don't know if anybody hasn't looked in the shoebox has laid eyes on. So it's one thing to keep a bunch of these photos and to keep those stories, but we wanted to try and make that accessible to other people. And so we launched a photo website this year. We've got 530 images up there now from that collection. You can check it out at mvhphotoproject.org. We're in a pretty amazing place as a community to be able to capture not just these photos, but also the stories of the people in them, the stories of the places in them, that we won't have this opportunity in 20 or 30 years. So we're doing our best to capture this information and capture these stories now while we can and get that out so that people can have that going forward. We've also been working with a couple different high school and elementary schools to create local history lessons using the site. I went through Palmer High School and I found its Alaskan history class to be extremely lacking when talking about Palmer history. We're looking to fix that when people are talking about their hometown.
Excellent.
All right. We also had our Artist of the Week art exhibit. There's a lot of talented artists around Palmer. We bring one in every week, kind of to coincide with Friday Fling Traffic. We had quite a bit more coverage last year, but we made some things work this year. We did some online artist interviews, and it's a great way for local artists to have their work displayed at the museum to visitors and locals alike, and 100% of the proceeds for any works displayed go to the artists. We also had a wonderful online Untold Stories session. So we gathered kind of a round table of longtime Palmer residents and talked about changes, good and bad, in the community that we've seen from then to now. I also had a fascinating exhibit that is just debuting over at Wasilla. We loaned it to them, called Reflections in Carbide. Local photojournalist Adam Christensen took a trip into the tunnels up at Independence Mine and took photographs of the drawings that miners left behind with their carbide headlamps, which a lot of them haven't probably been touched or disturbed for 80 odd years. So we got to have that on display, and that's also available on our website, palmermuseum.org, if you want to take a look at that. And then one of my favorite exhibits that we had was Beyond the Classroom. We do a high school art exhibit every year where we invite high school students from around the valley to bring in their work. We give them juried feedback, and then we select a winner for a small scholarship to support their higher education goals. So Palmer High student Rachel Cooper won the scholarship this year. And the last big thing for the exhibit is we are taking the opportunity, since we're having our carpets replaced and some other work done in the building, we're taking that opportunity to kind of reevaluate our permanent exhibit and to make some changes. We're moving a few things around. We're ordering some new pieces for the display. And our goal is Palmer has a lot of stories, and the Matanuska Colony story gets told a lot. As well it should. It's a big story. It's a big part of the history. You can see it everywhere. There's a lot of other stories here, though, in Palmer. There's stories of miners. There's stories of the railroad. There's stories of the Ahtna and the Dena'ina, who were here for many, many thousands of years before a lot of the rest of us showed up. And those aren't as visible when you walk around town. So as the museum, we're trying really hard to make sure that if somebody comes in to Palmer, they get the Palmer story, not just the colony story, not just the dairy farming story. They get the whole, all of it. And so I'm hoping that we'll have most of this done by the end of the year. And I'll definitely invite you all to come take a look at the museum and check it out. I'm pretty excited. And then on page 98, there's the fun part. There's our budget this year. What we thought would happen, what happened, and what we think will happen for the rest of the year. Like everybody else, we had a tough year. I'm appreciative of the CARES grant from the city of Palmer, and also we got CARES money from the state to reimburse some of our payroll costs. I won't go too much into this, but the big shifts that happened were normally city contract funds fund pretty much all of our staff budget. We didn't hire summer staff this year, and we got some CARES Act money to help cover some salaries. So we were left this year with some contract funds that we didn't just have to spend on payroll, and that kind of contrasted with we lost pretty much all of our normal operating funds that we would get from the gift shop or other sources. So we're investing a lot of this into things like Visit Palmer, things like the exhibit, things like the photo project. We're trying to make the most we can of these infrastructure upgrades while we've got some time and money to do it. Next year, though, if we have a year like this one, it's not going to be pretty. Our budget next year, which is attached at the end, is pretty skeletal. A lot of the programs and things that we normally put on, if we don't raise money in the gift shop, we've moved a few things around, but it's going to look a little different. So there's a draft on page 99 of kind of the highlights of that budget breakdown. There's some lovely graphs on page 100, and then further on is our at the end is our actual line-by-line budget, for those of you who are especially curious there. And then just a quick note, the work that we do over there, we have several staff members that are permanent. There's myself, the visitor outreach coordinator, Matthew Akers, and our collections manager, Richard Estelle. Richard really carries the museum side, and if you get onto that MVH photo project, That is all Richard there. I'd like to claim credit for it, but he really did the body of work for making sure that these images and stories are preserved and shared with people. And normally we employ 4 temporary summer frontline staff employees. And this year with the CARES money from the city, we hired a collections aide to give Richard a little bit of help downstairs. So Miss Sophia Nowers has been working for us and will be through December, helping us do some projects with the collection. That's the end of most of my presentation. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, John?
So I appreciate to hear about the art program. I just got contacted yesterday by the Rasmussen Foundation that there is a grant, a matching grant for art. So if you're interested in that, let me know. We might go use some CARES funds for the match. They have a lot of money left over.
Yep.
So this might be a good opportunity for
Excellent.
you.
All right. Any other questions or anything I can answer about tourism or the museum this year?
No.
Madam Mayor?
Oh, yes, Councilman Best?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since this is a communication and appearance request, I don't think we need to suspend the rules for us to have a conversation. Just verify that, please.
No, it's fine, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Mhm.
I'd like to let the director things know that I appreciate everything that the museum does for the city. We have a very rich and robust history. I appreciate you bringing forth the idea of the native cultures that were preceding the colony and the mining activities and all that kind of stuff. I think these are important influences that need to have their voice spoke in these, in our museum and visitor center as well. That's very profound. My question to you is about, we have a bed tax that's applied to the borough-wide. Is there any of, I don't recall any amount of the bed tax that comes through the city to the visitor center? Is that accurate to say?
Yes, that is correct, Councilman Best.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I think that's something that we need to have a discussion at the council level about engaging with the Visitors Bureau, the borough within assessing that bed tax within city, and then not bearing fruit to help to support in that, or at least a presentation to council of how it is being utilized in support of our visitor center. I think that's probably an important discussion that we should have at some point with council and discussion with the city manager and the museum board of directors as well. But again, I do appreciate all the work that they do.
Okay, can I ask if there's another council person for support for Councilman? Yes, you do have. Councilman Best, you have a fellow council member that is giving support, so I see the city manager making notes and the clerk making notes, so that will be scheduled. Thank you. Did I interrupt you, Councilman Best? Did you have something further to say?
No, ma'am, and I appreciate the second.
Okay, good. Okay, any other comments from any of the council members? Okay, well, we thank you very much for taking the time to come, and thank you for the job you're doing, and extend that to the board of directors. So thank you.
I will, thank you. I've got 2 of them here with me tonight, Aaron Saunders and Mary Jo Parks.
Okay, good. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for trudging through the year with us. I'd like to promise that next year will be better, but you never know, so. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the city manager's report. So, John, if you go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening. Coming your way is our 2021 budget. It
Okay.
is in the process of being printed right now.
Oh, wow, okay.
I would love to say that it's going to solve all our problems, and it's the best budget you've ever seen. And if you like Nate Wallace's last budget, and thought it was the best you've ever seen this matches because it's almost identical.
Okay.
We're able to provide services. As you know, revenue-wise, there is very little slack, but we're able to provide all services, keep our employees full staff. So there's not going to be any surprises with that. But saying that, with what we went through this year, we are in a tremendous position. We did not see any loss in property tax and sales tax, even despite, a lot of things being canceled, like the state fair. So we are very, very fortunate during this time, a whole lot better than some others. And the COVID money, which we'll talk to a little bit later, is helping through and helping us, our community. It's not solving everything, but it's a nice elixir for us. So that is coming. You'll get it. You'll look at it, and you'll be bored, which you should be bored of budgets, but it's our plan going forward. There are two things I would like council input tonight.
Okay.
First, one of the items that was even brought up last night that has been on there, and we've been pretty busy, haven't been able to get to, is setting a strategic plan meeting going forward.
Okay.
I have engaged with a consultant. I think that I like to have that first meeting with the city council and have the city council work with the consultant and lay out what do we want to do about where we want to go.
Okay.
So I'm open for suggestions for timing. That being said, I just told you I have a boring budget, and I'm hoping that we can not have any meetings in December unless we need them for emergencies.
Okay.
But I'm going to do whatever the city council wants because they're the best ever.
Okay. All right. So does the council want to, because we will probably have some extra meetings with the budget, even after we look at it, we may end up having, an extra meeting or two. And if we don't have any meetings in December, are the council members going to be willing to postpone the strategic planning with the consultant in maybe the first meeting in January? Or what are some thoughts? Because okay, Deputy Mayor Combs, go ahead.
Thanks. I'm assuming, I know we're gonna be seeing the budget very soon. It would be nice to strategically plan what we wanna do before we decide on our budget, but I would be fine with it being at the beginning of January after our budget's finalized, if that's the earliest that we can do it. I don't wanna create a special meeting in December just for that. So I would be fine with doing it as soon as possible in January.
Yeah, and I think, for those that have been on the council for a while, we do end up doing, quote, planning when we're doing the budget. So, Councilman Best, I heard you, but Councilwoman Valerius had her hand up before I recognized the deputy mayor. So, Councilwoman Valerius, did you still want to make a comment? No. Okay. Was your hand up, or were you scratching your head, or? Oh, it was. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. Councilman Best, go ahead.
Madam Mayor,
Madam
you just
Mayor.
said second.
I was seconding, yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Second.
Okay. So, does anyone else have any comments then regarding what the deputy mayor suggested and what councilman? Yeah, Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, and, we had talked last year that we'd all definitely like to be in person for something like that, just taking into account, Councilman Best, if he is leaving for Juneau, just that maybe we can get it done before he has to do that.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can you tell us when our first meeting in January would be? And Councilman Best, will you be in, and hopefully we would be able to all meet. It's in January 12th? Okay, Councilman Best, when have you made plans to go to Juneau yet? And if so, what date are you anticipating?
Madam Mayor, as we all are aware, political positions, of working for individuals is somewhat tentative, so,
Okay,
it is what it is. I will try my best to make it, and, if I have to fly home to do that, I will try my best to be there as well.
okay,
I appreciate it.
okay. Yes, John?
With Councilman's best input, could we do it the first Tuesday, which is probably gonna be January 5th? And just at 7
Okay.
o'clock and then do that session there?
Okay. Does anybody have plans to be gone over the holidays and wouldn't be back home in Palmer on January 5th? Deputy Mayor Combs.
Thank you. We had originally kind of talked about doing like a half day, not a 7 p.m. meeting, because it wasn't something that we wanted to have to rush. So it doesn't necessarily, I don't think, have to be on a Tuesday night at 7. It could be on a different day as well.
What is this, the Saturday before the 12th must be what, about the 7th or 8th? The 9th? Okay. So the 9th, probably would the 2nd, if we did it on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning, would the 2nd be too close to the holidays for anybody? Probably. Okay. All righty. So I have a probably here. So, so maybe the 9th then okay, I see some thumbs up. Okay. All right. So, we'll have the city manager work on the 9th. Yes, Councilwoman Valerius, go ahead. Is that a yes, or do you want to talk?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, that's a yes, and I would agree with Warren.
Morning. Okay. Okay. All righty. So is that morning okay? That Saturday? You don't have guard duty, do you? Oh, okay. Councilman Carrington doesn't know if he does have guard duty. He doesn't think so, but he doesn't know for sure. Well, let's tentatively plan for that. John can reach out to the consultant then, and so,
And what do we mean by morning?
I don't know, 9 o'clock, or were you thinking, okay, I see a thumbs up at 9 o'clock. Do I hear 7? No. Okay, all righty, so,
Very good. So
John, you have your instructions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, then you said you had a second thing?
Yes, well, I have a lot of things, but second thing I need an answer on.
Okay,
So we got contacted today from Central Office DOT, and they would like to come to talk to the city council about Glen Highway mile 34 to 42.
okay,
This is
excellent.
Glen, this is phase 2, and they would like to talk to us before they get moving on this, which I think is a pretty wise thing to do.
Sure.
So, so would that be something we could maybe schedule at 6 o'clock before an available meeting? And do we
Okay.
have any meetings like that coming up?
Let's see, do we,
Every 6 o'clock meeting from now is scheduled for the budget.
everything is for budget, okay?
It's expected,
Can we move the budget, say, on the 3rd into the general meeting? Does the November 3rd regular meeting have a pretty full agenda? Do you?
We don't have a regular meeting on November 3rd.
Oh, okay, so, well, okay,
Special
so,
on a regular on the 10th
okay,
and the 24th.
okay. So if on the 3rd, what if we had them come, the highway come at 6 and then us do budget at 7? Pardon?
Right, have 2 items on.
Two items on the agenda for that meeting.
Yeah,
So you
but,
don't
but
have to
let's,
cut it at 7.
yeah, but let's set them, because they probably won't want to listen to our budget, so let's set them at 6 and then, you know, at 6:30 or 7, whatever time we would go in. But yeah, you're right, have both items on the agenda for that. Okay, so that, is there any objections from everybody? Okay, I see thumbs up. Okay, anybody? No. Okay, everybody's okay. Okay, so on the 3rd, then we'll have the highway department. And then at 7 or approximately thereof, the second item on the budget for that time then would be I mean, that evening would be then the budget. Okay. There, alrighty, you have,
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Speaking of DOT,
uh-huh,
this Thursday, they are doing a virtual Matsu Transportation Virtual Fair, Transportation
Right.
Fair. It's on Thursday the 15th from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m.
right,
And you can get on virtually two ways. You can go right to the matsu.gov website, and it's right there in the front. Or you can go to publicinput.com/Matsu publicinput.com/Matsu Transportation Fair. It's always good, especially to see all the work being done by DOT, even in down times. We haven't had money. There's still a ton of federal money. Much a surprise, I think, by somebody that there's still a lot of federal money coming in for roads and highways. And this is a growth area, so a lot of it's happening there. So
okay,
I wish we could do it in person. Hopefully one day we can do that again, but if you can, do that virtually. The
okay,
second thing is, just north of us, we have the Glen Highway milepost 53 to 56. This is a Moose Creek Canyon project. And you can go and learn about that at the same place. It's publicinput.com/Moose Creek Canyon.
okay. Alrighty,
Okay, next item that I have is we have round 2 of the COVID nonprofit and business grants that started on Monday. Also, too, we have started our utility hardship program. So if you have problems with your utility bills, we're also working with MEA and NSTAR to be able to provide funding for that, and we can match that up with the Alaska Housing Finance Corporation for those who have trouble paying their mortgages or their lease payments.
okay.
So that's a good thing. We're excited about that. 100% CARES money, and we're getting some partners
Okay.
on that.
Can I stop you? Are you gonna talk some more about that, or are you going to
I
jump
can stop.
subject?
Yes.
Okay. I got a note today, regarding, a party that lives in Mountain Rose, and, in Mountain Rose, the homeowners association, they pay their homeowners association, which includes their water and sewer, utilities. So, I noticed in the ad that we had, that it said single family dwelling, those are all duplexes in there. And did the council set that priority or parameters? Was that set administratively for a single family rather than for, like that complex there or apartment buildings or something like that?
So one of the big things with the COVID CARES money is there has to be a demonstrated hurt or loss during
Right.
that.
Right,
And then we have the profit and nonprofit or commercial grants for the business. I did get the same thing because somebody is paying their utilities to the co-op,
right,
and
Yeah.
then the co-op is paying those bills.
Right.
And so they wouldn't be, so I responded back to that person, and I'm more than happy to try to find a way of helping.
Okay,
Because
'cause
there's
this-
also rent assistance, and also too, we might be able to way to differentiate. And if not, we can also help with the gas and electric bills also.
okay. Because
So-
this person, said, they live in Mountain Rose,
Yeah.
and they said that, normally they work in the, senior center. And of course, as you know, the senior
Yes.
center has, so that they have been directly then affected. I don't, but that's the person, so she has been, and he, or she and he, whoever, have been directly affected by it. But I don't know, going through the weeds there on the homeowners association, so.
That might be a little difficult, but there's ways I think we can help. And
Okay.
I contacted her, the
Okay.
lady, and said, hold on, I'll be back to
Okay,
see how I
great.
can help.
Good, good,
So,
good,
and
good.
anybody else that has that,
Unique
we're
type
hurting.
situation.
contact me. We'll do whatever we can to kind of help.
Right. I had asked you in an email regarding the, you know, like, because we have a number of low-income apartment, but I'm sure that would affect their income, and that would probably throw just a lot of
Yes.
wrenches in there. So, yeah, but maybe if we can do something for Mountain Rose and that. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, sir, with the rest of your report.
Okay, so I got a couple things. I've heard that you've missed the monthly reports. So building department report for September. It's that this month we had 16 permits, total valuation 837,000, permit fees $8,293 collected. Year to date comparison, last year we were at 28 million at this time. We're at 5.7 million, which is very understandable. I know I personally tried to help with that number, but I didn't do a whole lot of damage to that.
You should have built a bigger house.
The-
Another million, you know, would make it nice.
That would be good, but the zoning code of Palmer allowed me just to build as the size that I could. So,
Okay, all right.
so anyways, when we knew this was going to happen,
Sure,
and hopefully we can recover.
Right.
The other thing that we're finding out, and I know there's words about the annexation, there is not, I know for a fact, there's not a whole lot of places to go find a lot to build a house on.
right,
There are very few.
that's true.
So we'll do that. Also too, and that was kind of bad news, good news, September 2020, Palmer Golf Course. Green fees, close to $50,000. Merchandise sales, 53,000. Snack bar, a lot of snacking going on, 13.5, and then 10,000 for beer and wine. So good times at the golf course, best summer ever.
Right, good.
So it's tremendous. The weather was beautiful, and it's a beautiful place to social distance. There's a lot of space out there.
Right, good
So,
deal. Good.
And the last thing I have is we have available seats on our boards. We have 2 economic development seats available, 2 airport advisory commission seats, 3 park and recreation seats, and planning and zoning commission, we have 2 seats for those. So we're hoping after this announcement, there's going to be run on those, and they'll be all filled by tomorrow. Of course, the mayor gets to make that choice.
Yeah.
That is all I have under my report until we get to later in the meeting, and then I get to talk some more.
Okay, alrighty, okay. Yeah, and I'll talk a little bit too about the boards and commissions I have posting, and I appreciate Justine's help on that. Okay, city clerk, do you have a report, ma'am?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to give a very tremendous, huge shout out to the clerk's office staff for their support and all their very, very hard work. This was a different election year. And all of them, Heather, Jason, and Kara, were running, just trying to keep up with the COVID requirements and the changes and the unbelievable amount of absentee and early voting that we received. We know how to process like last year, we had our highest number of absentee applications at 30. And this year we got 227. So we knew how to process 30 applications. We had the process down. And so trying to keep up with that many applications, I'm very grateful that it happened through several months, but it was a lot. And also the city hasn't really been into the 3 digits of early voting. Last year, I remember celebrating very strongly that we got 106 early voters, and this year we got 321 plus, 321 regular, and then we had some special needs and question. But 325 people is who they actually issued ballots. And so getting those back, and then again, we know how to process about 10 of those a day, but processing the huge number that we were processing every day, because they were getting high teens and 20s, it was definitely something that the staff, we had to come together and be a team, and I'm very proud of all of them, and how they did that. So really, truly a huge shout out to them for helping to make it happen. And, you know, as days happen, it was like, we forgot this, let's do this now. Okay, change. You know, we did a lot of pivoting as we were finding through the days of, okay, now they need this PPE or they need this. We definitely did not prepare for that many early voters. So we were running extra envelopes and secrecy sleeves. So I just appreciate everything. If I asked, they did it.
Oh, good.
So very, very huge to him. And Jason was here last night. I didn't get the opportunity to introduce him, but I very much appreciate all he had done too, and Heather as well.
Well, please pass on our thank you very much to them. And I know the rest of the council feel the same way, so.
Awesome.
yeah.
Good. Thank you. And I wanted to let the council know also that the AML conference, now that we have made it through elections, this will be our next focus to help support the council in getting you guys all registered. The AML conference will be virtual and will be held with classes every day, Monday starting the 16th through the 20th. So in the past, it's been divided up basically into 2 days of classes. So they are bringing 5 days of virtual training. So if anyone wants to attend that, please let me know. I have heard from some, but those that haven't had a chance to let me know, please shoot me an email to say yes, register me, or no. I'd like to know one way or the other if you
Okay.
are attending or not attending.
Okay, okay.
And that right now is kind of where my brain went.
Okay, all righty.
It's still on election cleanup, so.
Any questions to the city clerk regarding her report or any other questions you would like to ask? Okay, I don't see any.
Thank you,
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah. So you have my written report. I do have some additional report to give. Following up on the boards and commissions, the ad is in the paper. It's also on our Facebook. And just be aware that some of the boards and commissions require that you live inside the city of Palmer. Other ones, you can live just in the Palmer community. So be sure and check that out. So, and I think you probably all got an email from AML. They do have some nominations for Employee of the Year, Staff of the Year, etc. So if there's anyone that you want to nominate for those. This Saturday, the seniors will be doing a birthday car procession around Palmer at 11 a.m. So if you see a bunch of birthday cars running around, you will know what that is. Let me see. A bunch of things, yeah. And we already talked about the Utilities, CARES Act, and Mountain Rose that I had down. So that is any additions I have. Any questions on my report or any questions to me? Okay. Okay, Mike, do you have a city attorney's report? Is he online? Okay,
He's still muted though.
okay.
Mike, you're muted.
I can,
Hit star six.
I can hear something.
I can't. There we go.
Great, Madam Mayor, thank you, sorry for that. I don't have a report, but I'd like to thank the attorney council members, for the public service they extend to the community and the state. And I'd like to wish the entire council and the mayor and city staff the best for the upcoming year. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions to the city attorney? Okay, okay, hearing none. The next item on our agenda is audience participation. Anyone in the audience is welcome to address the council. 3 minutes if you're representing yourself, 5 minutes if you're representing a group. And the sign-in sheet, I guess, is over there tonight, so.
Yeah. Where's it gonna be?
Yeah, right. Audience participation is now open. Good evening.
Good evening. Nice to see you all 2 nights in a row. So my name is Ailish Van. I am the Executive Director for the Greater Palmer Chamber of Commerce. I am just here for my monthly update. And I just wanted to, last night I thanked outgoing, now departed Deputy Mayor Linda Combs for her service over the years for our community. And tonight I'd like to welcome Brian Daniels to the City Council and serving a more active role in our community. I haven't served on the council, but being in the chamber, it is very public and very community minded. So welcome, and I wish you the best. And I liked what Councilman Carrington said last night about not being shy and asking questions and all of that. So I'd also like to congratulate Sabrina Combs, Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs, on her second term. And also just give an update on a few things that we've got going on. We are doing a Halloween trick-or-treat street. I should say pre-Halloween. It will be on Friday, October 30th from 4 to 7 p.m. And it will be taking place basically from one end of Palmer to the other and little side shoots in between. This is an event that will be mostly outside but spread out. And basically we're just encouraging trick-or-treaters to walk through businesses, or some businesses will have a table outside with candy and or fruit snacks and granola bars for kiddos that want to walk through town. This is because the Halloween Hollow event got canceled at Raven Hall, and that's a big fundraiser for Mat-Su Special Santa. And so we wanted to do something to support Mat-Su Special Santa, but also give our local kids something to do that Halloween weekend. So there will be little donation pumpkin pails around at these businesses that people can donate money to, or they can also bring toys to donate. Typically Halloween Hollow costs money, or they ask for a donation, so we're just asking that people do donate, and all of those proceeds will go to Mat-Su Special Santa. So we look forward to anybody that wants to participate. If you don't have a business in town, or you don't own a business at all but would like to participate, we are trying to involve the Pioneer Home more. So if we could get a few tables set up, passing candy out and encouraging trick-or-treaters to walk through there, the residents would love it. Also, we are actively planning, we're 2 weeks into our Colony Christmas planning, which we are moving full steam ahead with. We are planning to do everything as normal with a few extra precautions taken with the indoor craft fairs. We are planning on having a parade and maybe making our parade route a little bit longer, just to encourage people to spread out, and maybe just helping to account for maybe a larger than normal parade. I think last year we had a record-breaking parade for Colony Christmas that it was so cold that we'll never forget. But we could be in store for the same with the lack of parades this year. So anyone that's in the parade normally needs to probably buy extra candy for that event. But we are also working on other events to bring in the Pioneers Home or Pioneer Home. I talked to their volunteer coordinator today, and they would love to see more things going on outside. So we are working on some ideas to have more lights and have more activities outside the Pioneer Home, so those residents can participate as much as they are allowed to right now. So we are also with Colony Christmas looking to do just more things, encouraging people to come out and enjoy the holidays. So stay tuned for that. We always look forward to our partnership with the city for that event because it's beneficial for everyone. So that'll be December 11th, 12th, and 13th. It's always the second weekend in the month of December and the month of June for Colony Days. And the Chamber of Commerce will be celebrating their 50th anniversary next year, which I know the city is turning 70, so that's a big year, milestone year for both organizations. So we look forward to partnering with the city on any events next year for that. We are working on Small Business Saturday. We're trying to think of some ongoing things throughout the holiday shopping season to encourage people to shop local and shop in Palmer specifically. So stay tuned for that. And just wanted to reiterate that we had a fantastic Friday Fling season, and thank you for the city's cooperation with our expanded footprint and everything else that the city does for us for that event. And I just want to reiterate what Sam says. We are becoming less and less of a bathroom stop and more of a destination. The Chamber of Commerce sees more people every year that come in and want to learn more about Palmer, and they say, we have to go to Seward real quick, but we're going to come back to Palmer. What should we do? So it's really wonderful that we're investing this money and energy into such a valid project that will help everybody in the city of Palmer and the Matanuska Valley. Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to address the council? Yeah, come on up, Stu.
Speaking on behalf of MTA,
MTA.
and Alaska Municipal League.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not gonna use the whole 5 minutes. Usually you put a mic in front of me, I'm good for at least 5 minutes, but tonight's not gonna be the case. So, good evening, Madam Mayor, council members and staff. My name is Stu Graham. I'm the Government Community Affairs representative for MTA, which of course is your local co-op, providing telecom services here in the Mat-Su Valley and south down through Chugiak and Eagle River. On behalf of the members and staff of MTA, congratulations, Mr. Daniels. This is a huge step that you're taking, and we and our ratepayers, our members, and our staff appreciate your willingness to serve and encourage you to make the most of it. We also want to congratulate Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs on her reelection. Thank you for all that you have done over the years, Sabrina, and we look forward to continuing to work with you and make things work. And to Sam back there, I just wanted to remind Sam and perhaps update the city council that the $10,000 came from the MTA Foundation, not from MEA. MEA is a great co-op, provides great service here, as you're well aware. Sabrina Combs, Deputy Mayor Combs, works for that organization. I'm also on the elections committee for that organization. It's a great organization. They have a Roundup program where they put a lot of money into the community. The MTA Foundation is not connected at all with MEA. So MTA Foundation is happy to provide the funding for essentially what is a technical grant for the museum to do their photo archives. So just wanted to clear that up and let you know how happy we are to be able to provide that through the MTA Foundation.
Okay.
Switching hats just a little bit, I want to talk about the Alaska Municipal League. I am the president of the Alaska Municipal League. Deputy Mayor Combs serves on the board of the Alaska Municipal League and has been on the board for a couple of years now. Is doing a great job. You were reminded that the Alaska Municipal League Winter Conference, which is actually kind of in the fall, but November 16th through the 20th. This will be the first year that conference has been done virtually. However, we did do the summer conference virtually. It was a huge success over several days. The conference in November, it typically happens at the Captain Cook Hotel, and has 500 or 600 participants. We're certainly not anticipating that many, but you never know, it could be more. But one of the things that I want to make people aware of is signing up for the AML conference doesn't mean that you're going to go there for 5 days. Doesn't mean that you're going to listen to every speaker that comes up. Doesn't mean you're going to participate in every committee meeting that happens. If you sign up for the conference, which I highly recommend, take a look at the agenda, which we're working on now. Lots of stuff going on, lots of different things happening. No matter whether you're in a big city, whether you're in a village, whether you're a newly elected official, whether you're a seasoned politician like your mayor, Edna DeVries, there is something there for everybody. So I strongly encourage you to get signed up for that. And to Mr. Daniels, Councilman Daniels, the Alaska Municipal League does have newly elected officials training, which is actually put on by the Municipal Clerks Association, which is invaluable training. You mentioned last night that you weren't really sure what to say. You go to AML, go through newly elected officials training, and you'll feel much more confident when you do have something to say. You'll say it in the right format. You'll know how to talk without talking over somebody. You'll know how to not let somebody bully you into not talking. You will learn a tremendous amount from newly elected officials training. I know, sir, that you are a businessman and you have, responsibilities to your business, but now that you have accepted the responsibilities that go with the council, I strongly encourage you to make time during that week for newly elected officials training, because you will get a lot out of that, and that will serve you at every council meeting you go to and at many of the public appearances you make. So highly recommend that you do that. And on behalf of AML, congratulations to you, sir. It's not easy, accepting the mantle that goes with the public office, but it is like any endeavor. the more you put into it, the more you get out of it, and ML is here to help you get the most out of it. So congratulations to you, and we certainly hope to see all of you on Zoom conference, or at least your names anyway, on Zoom conference at some of the AML winter conference that will be the 16th to the 20th of November. Thank you.
did take your 5 minutes.
Oh, that was representing
Yeah,
two
politician
organizations.
there, see, that's what's going on.
And you know I'm a big liar.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Stu just finished 2 terms on the council for the city of Wasilla. So thank him for his service for the city of Wasilla. So yes, come forth, yeah.
I think I'll only need 2 minutes. How's that? Make up a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Oh, okay, 3 is good. Mike Malevsky, I live at 325 East Fireweed Avenue here, and I was just thinking when I saw Bruce today that I believe in this room there are only 2 people. It's the mayor and I that have known Bruce for 40 years. Yeah, right. 40 years ago, I served with Bruce on the ambulance service, which back in the day was sort of all together. The ambulance, fire department all ran out of that same place. Dan Contini and Bruce Axtell were the people,
Right.
basically. I learned a lot from him, and I also wanted to comment that observing Bruce here, yeah, he's changed a little bit over the years, but 40 years is a long time to be involved that way. I lasted for a few years and then moved on to do some other things. But I also reflected that this is kind of an interesting aspect of life, whether it's the fire service, ambulance service, serving on the council, to have a new person come in and spend time. It changes things. I know that the younger people that join the ambulance service and the fire department, in many cases, they provided not only physically a younger approach to things. They could carry a bit more, but they also it also meant that you had a turnover that wasn't going to be all at one time, because when Bruce leaves, he takes away with him a history that it just cannot be easily replaced. Right. And so having a kind of a staggered approach where you have people in varying amounts of history, I think is a huge benefit to any organization, whether it's the council or the ambulance or fire service or whatever. I just wanted to comment about that and add my thanks to Bruce for his long service.
Right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're right. She took 2 minutes. Anyone else that'd like to address the council on any subject, either that's on the agenda or anything you would like the council to know? Okay, seeing no one else, I'll close audience participation. The next item on our agenda is ordinance number 20-012. And Mr. City Manager, could we have a staff report on this before we go into the public hearing, please?
Certainly. So what we're doing is we're asking for an ordinance of the Palmer City Council enacting Municipal Code Chapter 3.21 for suspension, disbarment of public contractors. So essentially, we're requesting to put a process in for when we have bad actors with a public contract. We are responsible for the good stewardship of the citizens' funds, and every once in a while, you will run into an issue that I feel we need an extra stick to make sure that public trust is withheld and our finances are kept in order. So essentially, this lays out the entire process for the notice of disbarment, public hearing, so all rights are preserved, and what are the remedies for that. And it really kind of calls out in the ordinance the malfeasance that actually occurs to disbarment. It just can't be, we just don't like you, or there is, question of a normal dispute. This has to do with really violation of ethical standards, misrepresented product, falsifying invoices, billing summaries, that sort of thing that cannot be resolved. There's other cities, other boroughs in the state have this. It's rare that this is used, but it is a very good tool. And it's also too, if we have an issue with a contractor, it really kind of warns other cities, other boroughs to do business, so the same thing is not repeated there. So one thing we would ask after the public hearing is we do have to make a couple small changes to this ordinance, and it has to do with the hearing time and the appeal issue. And so we'd ask for a second public hearing to be at the next regular city council meeting.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty, so with that, I will go ahead and open the public hearing on ordinance number 20-012, enacting Palmer Municipal Code, Chapter 3.21, suspension, not suspicion, and debarment of public contractors. Anyone in the audience is welcome to come and testify. Your testimony at this public hearing will just deal with that ordinance 20-012. So with that, I'll open the public hearing. So council members that are online, as you can see, there's no one coming forth. So is there any objections to me closing the public hearing? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And as the city manager noted, there are some changes so should I tell them the changes first before we have the motion, or
You need a motion on the floor.
okay,
To adopt it. and
Okay,
then a
so-
motion to amend.
okay, so if I can have a motion to adopt, and then yes, I see your hand, Deputy Mayor. Is there in there second? So Deputy Mayor moved and alternate Deputy Mayor seconded. On the first page, on page 111, in the section A of 3.21.360, 1, 2, 3, the fourth line where it starts towards the end of that line with notice and goes through the next line to before the hearing. Move that to page 113 and the top part of 113 where it says 3.21.400. Page 112, at the bottom of the page, 3.21.380, after the words "it shall be written," add the words "by the city manager." And then at the top of page 113, in the 1, 2, 3, 4, in the fifth line where it says the requests a hearing, the city manager should be changed to clerk. Then on the next line where it says appointed by the city manager, that needs to be changed to city clerk. In that same paragraph, then remove subsection F of this section and any requirements adopted by the city manager. That whole line there will be struck. Then under A1 on the same page, where it says the hearing officer shall arrange, and that needs to be changed to the city clerk. We are making these changes so that the hearing procedure is the same as it is on other hearing procedures for our code, so that they're all consistent. All of the code is consistent regarding who works with the hearing officer, how that goes, so we don't have any conflict. Okay, then on page 114, under items, the second line where it starts off, the city manager may, and goes all the way to the end of that section where it says appropriate action, remove all of that. So those are the changes that have been requested. And so, I don't know if you want to make a motion for an amendment for those, or if you want just the administration to come back, next, at our next meeting with those changes in, and then you can adopt them at that time. So what is the wishes of the council?
Madam Mayor, I
Yeah.
move to amend with the amendments that you just listed.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that the changes that I have read into the record, that is the amendment to ordinance number 20-012. Discussion on the motion to amend. Councilman Carrington?
I'm just trying to follow now. From this, we're gonna do another public hearing at our next regular meeting.
Do we want to need a public hearing? Is that, or what
I was
is
trying to
the
follow
preference?
Sorry, may I?
Yeah,
Answer,
sure.
you're looking at me, so I'm assuming.
Yeah.
You
right.
do not have to have another public hearing. We
Okay.
can make amendments on the floor and they can be adopted in the same night. If the council feels that these are substantial enough to, require another hearing, definitely that's your guys' prerogative.
Okay.
You don't have to.
Okay.
It just depends on how you feel the public would need that notice for these. I do think that many of these are just a clarification, like you said, Mayor, clarification to match what else is in the code.
Regarding a public hearing about,
Yeah,
hearing
changing manager
officers.
clerk, making sure we're referencing the right code section instead of section F type of thing. There isn't anything in here besides the very last amendment, which was the city manager may affirm, modify the hearing officer's decision, that I feel is really substantial. That one does change authority, so it's up to council on that.
Okay, Councilman Carrington, do you have some thoughts?
I guess in my mind, it's a little bit cumbersome. There was a lot of, it felt a little bit like a shell game. So I guess I would just like to see another public hearing unless we need to act more quickly.
Okay, alrighty. So why don't we? Oh, yes, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of these changes, so, certainly if the council has discussion to adopt it tonight, but, I haven't seen any of the changes.
Okay, alrighty. So I think what we'll do, if it's all right with everybody, we will go ahead and vote on the amendment, and then I will entertain a motion to postpone until our next meeting, and at that time have a second public hearing, so there is absolutely no question on openness or transparency. So, okay. Any other discussion then on the amendment that included all of the amendments that I read into the record? Okay, Madam Clerk, would you take the roll then on that motion, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs.
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Jill Valerius.
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best.
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Berberick.
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so now we have the ordinance 20-012 as amended. Is it just a motion to postpone until October 27th? Okay, so can I have a motion from the council to do that? And I guess, do we need to include in the motion for it to be a public hearing, or will you automatically do that?
I can automatically, I understand that's the intent of the council, but it makes
Okay.
it very clear if we add that in there.
Okay, okay, alrighty. Councilman Carrington?
So moved with another public hearing.
Oh, with a public hearing, okay. Is there a second to that motion? Okay, I see second by Deputy Mayor. So now the discussion is on, let's see, that postponement, can it be debated? The postponement, yeah, okay. So the motion to postpone is on the floor. Anyone that would like to discuss that? Is that clear to everybody? This ordinance will be coming back to us. We will be having another public hearing on October 27th, and it will come back to us as amended tonight. Okay, I don't see any comments. Madam Clerk, would you go ahead and take the roll, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Steve Carrington,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs,
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Berberich,
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best,
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels,
Yes.
Councilmember Jill Valerius,
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries. Sorry, where did that come from?
Well,
Mayor
you
Edna
know, the
DeVries.
difference between suspicion and suspension, so. It's just
Right.
moving down the line here.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. All righty, the next item on our agenda then is new business. And the first item is action memorandum number 20-075, directing the city manager to notify the state of Alaska, the city council's statement of non-objection for Alaska State Fair Incorporated liquor license number 39 of adding an outside area to the garden for alcohol consumption and Raven Hall for an interior alcohol storage. What is the wishes of the council? Deputy Mayor? Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve action memorandum 20-075. Discussion, questions, amendments to the motion? Okay, I don't see any. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll then, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs,
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Berberich,
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best,
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels,
Yes.
Councilmember Jill Valerius,
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so the next item is action memorandum number 20-076, approval of a city council member to serve on the Alaska Municipal League Board of Directors for a term starting November 2020. What is the wishes of the council? Councilwoman Valerius? And-
Madam Mayor, I move to approve.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second?
Madam Mayor, we need a name to nominate first.
Oh, we need a name. Okay.
As it says in here, go to the,
Madam Mayor, may I interject as she was set up?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Combs, do you have a comment?
Okay, so under our handshake agreement, it looks like it is Houston's turn this year, but should we
Right.
not put someone forward, I would be willing to continue serving on the board, in the same capacity, so I'm just putting that out there.
Oh, okay, all righty.
and then anyone treasurer, anyone interested in treasurer?
Yeah, the board will also, okay, so on page 137, and you probably have already read this already, but just to call us to the attention to the people that are in the audience or listening on the radio, or on Facebook or wherever they are out there. There is candidate commitment, so the only two positions that are open for us, if I understand this correctly, for the city of Palmer for a member of the council to apply for is the treasurer and then the District 4 director. And what has happened in the past is the three cities and the borough have sort of had a gentleman's, well, and hopefully that's not too, yeah, sorry about that. They sort of had a mutual agreement. Yeah. That, like City of Palmer would have it this year, and then City of Houston would have it, then City of Wasilla, and at that time it would even go into the borough assembly, but now the borough assembly is going to have their own director, so right now it's between the three. And as Deputy Mayor Combs said, it is the City of Houston's term. Deputy Mayor Combs just finished her directorship, And so now it moves on to the city of Houston. And so, but then if they wouldn't, and then if it would go to the city of Wasilla and they wouldn't, then she would be willing to serve. So, and I don't know, is there anyone that is interested in working or running for the treasurer position? Don't see anybody. Okay, so now back to, now back to, so.
Oh, wait,
Can-
Councilmember Best, it sounded like you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Best, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I appreciate this discussion and, your explanation of how things have been, has been pretty accurate. My question is, so technically, we could support 2 council members, one for the District 4 director position and one for the second vice president. My question would be to Deputy Mayor Combs, would be, would she be interested in the second vice president nomination? And then we could have a discussion, because, I mean, with her years of experience on that board already, and then have a secondary discussion of the second person to put towards the director for the district, if that option avails itself, if Houston does not fulfill that.
Okay, I would just like to make a correction. They have changed the second vice president to now be titled the treasurer. And so they don't have a
Which
quote
makes me
second.
emphatically shake my head no.
And so they don't actually have a treasurer, I mean, as of right now, I guess they don't have a treasurer position, they have a second vice president, but because the second vice president's duties were to be a treasurer, they have just done away with the second vice president title and titled it treasurer. But I don't, Deputy Mayor Combs, I think, has already stated, she's got a smile on her face, but I did see a wrinkle before, but that I don't think she was,
Really my thing.
she,
I'm happy to serve on the board as a district chair, but I just don't think I have it in my time schedule to be the treasurer for Amazon right now.
okay. So she's not interested in the treasurer position. Is there anyone else that would be interested in that? No? Yes, Deputy Councilman Best.
Would the deputy mayor kind of enlighten us a little bit? Is it a functioning treasurer position, or is it the kind of the quarterly reports to the board or to the body general of the activities of the board?
Yeah, no, you're correct.
I'm not certain.
You're correct, Councilman Best. It's not a functioning treasurer. I wouldn't be in charge of the finances for AML, but it is the first year that they have this position on the board. Now you're making me feel guilty, and I feel like I should put my name in for it because I have been on the board for almost 3 years now. So, yeah, I can do that. I can put my name in for that. Sure.
Okay,
He guilted me into it. Yes, that's fine. I'm happy to do that.
okay. So, and we still do have the Alaska Municipal League president here in the audience too. So,
I can't see his face, but I'm sure he's grinning about it.
Yeah. So if I can have a suspension of the rules so that I can have a public testimony from the AML president of the board. Is there any objections for me doing that? Okay, I don't see any objections, so go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is.
You can apply for, we're not gonna give you City of Palmer funds, okay?
That's quite all right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Stu Graham. I am the president of the Alaska Municipal League, outgoing president, I might say, of the Alaska Municipal League. I have served as a second vice president, which is responsible for what would now be the treasurer's position. So the new treasurer's position would be a member of the executive board of AML. The executive board meets probably at least once a month to discuss issues which have come up, which require attention. In addition, the treasurer reviews transactions, doesn't have any audit requirements or capabilities, anything like that. But if something odd turns up, it makes that happen. And if there's a need for a committee to be formed regarding the treasury of the Alaska Municipal League, then the treasurer would be the chair of that committee. Also, now that the Alaska Municipal League, has the state sales tax, remote sales tax, sellers commission in there, these duties are kind of fluid at this point because we've kind of suspended the expansion of that activity during COVID. But as that gears up, the treasurer may decide to be more involved in that, but there is certainly no requirement for you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to be there. But no, you don't need to be a financial genius. You just need to be ready for some Zoom calls for the executive committee.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah. All right. Councilman Best, did that address any questions you might have, or any of the other council member have questions? Okay. All righty. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Glad you stuck around. So then back to the other question also, regarding if the city of Houston and the city of Wasilla don't have a council person that is interested in serving as a director for District 4, is there any of the council people for the city of Palmer? You'd be sort of third in line, I guess. But if you do, then we, I guess, would need to have your name on this motion also. So, is there anybody that has that desire? Nope.
Madam Mayor?
Yeah, Councilman Best.
I would be willing to throw my hat in the ring if we need to have somebody's name on there for potentially going in there to be a director if it is not filled swiftly.
Okay. And I guess we could substitute later on, right? I mean, yeah. So, okay. Alrighty. So, then back to the motion that I need then for action memorandum 20-076. It would be the approval of 2 council members potentially to serve on the Alaska Municipal League Board of Directors for the term starting November 2020. Is that correct? And that would be Deputy Mayor Combs and Councilman Richard Best. Okay. Did we have a motion?
No, we started by Councilmember Valerius, and all this was kind of that staff report.
Okay,
presentation
okay,
to
all right.
clarify.
I see her hand up again, so I guess she's willing to go ahead and move. Do
Okay.
I have a second from someone? Okay, all right, thank you, Councilwoman Burbrick. Okay, so the motion before you is to place those 2 names into the motion. And it would potential be for the Board of Directors as treasurer, and then District 4 representative from us. So, any further discussion on the motion? Any other amendments or questions? Okay, Madam Clerk, then would you take the roll?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Jill Valerius.
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best.
Yeah.
Councilmember Julie Burbrick.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs.
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. So now, under new business, we're going to go to action memorandum 20-01 or 071. It was originally on page 11 of your agenda, but it was moved to be under new business. So can I have a motion to approve action memorandum number 20-071? Does everybody know where we are?
So moved.
Okay, Councilman Carrington, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Already Deputy Mayor seconded. All right. So we have before us action memorandum 20-071, and Councilman Best, since you asked for this to be moved to this location on the agenda, would you like to have a staff report, or do you have some comments you would like to ask or questions you'd like to have answered?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll start off with the staff report.
Okay, all righty. So I think Norma or City Manager, one of you. right?
Okay, yes, so, thank you very much. We are attempting to really improve the audiovisual recording and voting equipment at the Palmer City Council chambers. As you know, the system we have works, but it could work much better. And we're able to use the COVID funds, and we verify that for these type of purposes. The virus is going to be with us for a while. We do not have the quick ability to build new facilities. We don't have funds to build new facilities or opportunity, and so we're doing the best we can. This is a sole source contract, but it was bid under a competitive basis. And the reason we went with this, we had to have someone who can provide equipment, install the equipment, and have it fully functioning for us by the end of the year to be able to use the COVID funds. So we thought that was appropriate. It is permissible. It will have a big impact on how we relate and hold our meetings. And this is really my view on some of these things. This is probably, you know, a once in a blue moon chance we can actually have a positive impact to our services. And we have one gentleman that comes in here thinks, without a doubt, city council meeting is the most important thing we do every other week, and this will enhance that.
And I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, we did have somebody that had a hearing problem and was thinking about running for the council and then decided not to, just because of the sound system here. And so, you know, I think this is a great idea. I think it will certainly be easier for the audiences and the public as well as ourselves. So, Councilman Best, do you have any further follow-up or?
Madam Mayor, yes, thank you. So I agree, our sound system has been difficult over the years for many folks within the community. Also, due to a lot of the Zoom or telephone conferencing, all that kind of stuff is shown to be inadequate for the times. First off, I'd like to ask some technical questions on the equipment itself, if I may.
Sure. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Not knowing it, a lot of this, we have had discussions over the years where we felt that the chamber's space was not adequate to house the number of folks that wanted to participate. I mean, you know, on those rare occasions that we had people actually in the council chamber interested in what we were doing. But we've had, and I anticipate, when we go to have some of these public discussions of annexation, we're going to have pretty large participation. Does this equipment allow for the portability to set up in the situation, much like the depot? Will we be able to take the system to there and conduct those open public meetings with that? Or is this pretty much a standalone in place to kind of get us by? And were those options looked at while we were trying to specify what we need? That's my first one.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, City Manager. Thank you.
So this system is designed specifically for this space. It's some heavy-duty equipment, and it's also recording equipment, it's video equipment, it is voting equipment for that. So I certainly understand, because this space is for meetings is not the best. However, we don't have full control and full use of another city facility. We can look into a system which would be eligible, I think, but this is really robust, and this is essentially, we're doing this to really set us up for the next 10 years. And we did talk about that, but we had pretty much really be downgrading what we're going to do if this is kind of like take the show on the road equipment. And plus two, Norma is really down 2 of her roadies right now, and it would be kind of difficult to take the show on the road physically with her staff.
Okay, go ahead, Councilman Best, did you have follow-up?
Well, I'd like to hear from other council members as well on this, because for $120,000, it sounds like we do have a system that works for us now. We are getting through this. Is $120,000 worth of just a little bit better worth it versus, technology can change and shift within a 3-year period, and we've all seen that visually, how things have kind of moved along. And so in our haste to try to make sure that we, utilize the funds that are available for us for this situation, I don't know that this makes much pragmatic sense to spend $120,000 to really just kick the can down a little bit.
Okay,
But I'd love to hear other council members.
okay, Councilman Carrington, go ahead.
I'm wondering with the manager, what about recycling the system that we have? Could we, maybe try to build it and be available as an option over at the depot?
We are using, everything is not being replaced. We have some pieces here that are going to be taken advantage of and used for the new system. We could certainly have priced out another system, I believe, to take it on the road. I guess the question is, what I don't understand is, what is the intention of City Council on moving our operation somewhere else on either a temporary or permanent basis? Because I've not heard that before.
Okay. Yeah, Councilwoman Valerius, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm wondering if this new system will it allow audience participation telephonically or video wise? Like, I'm just wondering if that would be an option, because if that does increase it, I think that would be a really huge thing for the public. If they can participate a bit more directly, if you will, rather than kind of watching it on YouTube or whatever. So that's my question to the city manager.
Okay, did you get the question, sir?
So yes, I did, and that was part of the proposal. So essentially, what this does, this agreement allows us to spend a max of $120,000 to do that item, because we understand we cannot pack this place out with all the people certainly need to, and that is one of the things that you have difficulties with. We have difficulties in the room, and then add maybe 15 or 20 people from the public to that. So that is addressed in this proposal. Essentially, we're hiring a consultant who has the ability to get the equipment to put this system together for us to address all those. So that is our intention. That is our intention, to make this facility work as very best as technically available for the next 10 years.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, Councilman Best, then I don't see anyone else with input. Do you have further questions or comments?
Yes, and I appreciate that point that Dr. Valerius and Councilwoman Valerius brought up, because we haven't heard from the general public that for them to come down and participate during this situation has been somewhat problematic. And so I think that does bring a great point, that if this does allow for participation within our citizenry to participate telephonically or virtually, That will be an added plus. The other point that I want to make with the action memorandum with the 20071 in the subject, it does not state that this is expenditures due to COVID funding. The other memorandums do state that in the subject line. I think that is important, that it states it in that subject narrative, that this is where the funds are. It's stated all throughout the rest of the document, but I did look to see that it was,
So you got a
not
place.
stated in the same manner as the other two.
Okay, I think the city manager maybe,
Yeah, can you
Yes.
please clarify where you want me to have that statement at, Councilman Best? I have no problem putting it there. I just don't understand
let's see, so.
where you want that added.
I'm kind of flipping through to the next one, trying to see what page the next one is at. Sorry, this is a long document that I'm flipping through. I
Yes.
can look to see real quickly what the next one. So, oh shoot.
Madam Mayor,
Go ahead, Councilman Carrington.
excuse me, Councilman Best. I think part
So
of,
on 67, if you look at action memorandum in the subject line for 73, it states using CARES Act funds. We don't state that in this one, where those funds are coming from.
On page 67, you're referring to.
67 is the action memorandum 2003, and it says amending action memorandum authorized city manager to purchase fire disinfecting units.
Using CARES.
Using CARES Act funds. It's stated in the subject so that it's clear to the public where
Okay.
those funds are coming from that we're authorizing.
If you'll give me permission, we can correct that easily. Thank
Okay.
you for pointing that out.
Madam Mayor,
Let me ask the clerk if we need an amendment to add those 4 or 5 words to the subject.
It would be a very clean process to do that.
Okay, all right, and then,
And very clear to the public for transparency that is the intention.
Okay.
While it is listed in the certification of funds,
right,
I think Councilmember Best has a very good point of including it in the title.
okay, and Councilman Carrington, go ahead.
and if it was in the title, then it would be on page. Then it would be on page 1 if it's in the title. So then if someone's looking at the agenda, it would say CARES Act right there.
Okay,
Just-
so if we added it then on page 11, up at the top where it then says section Palmer Municipal Code 3.21.30, using CARES Act funds, would that be clear enough then, or is there a better place in that subject to add it? Is that?
That's right.
Yes.
I think it would be consistent with the other ones.
Yeah, okay, so, Councilman Best, can I have you go ahead and make that amendment then? The clerk feels, and I think we probably all do, that that would be much more transparent and beneficial to the public as well as to ourselves. So,
Fair enough, and I will so move.
okay, is there a second then?
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Does everybody understand the words that we've added and where we've added them? Okay, everybody's okay with that? Okay. Okay, any discussion on that amendment? Okay, Madam Clerk, if you'll go ahead and call the roll then. You will be just voting on the amendment to add those words at the top of page 11. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Jill Valerius?
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels?
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best?
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Burbrick?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs?
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries?
Yes.
Amendment passes.
Okay. So, Councilman Best, if I can come back to you, did that address all of the things you wanted to discuss under action memorandum number 20-071?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, this is a large expenditure. I think we needed to have some of that robust discussion to have a clearer understanding of how the general public will be benefiting from this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any discussion on this action memorandum? Okay, seeing none, then Madam Clerk, if you would take the roll for the vote, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Steve Carrington.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs.
Yes.
Councilmember Jill Valerius.
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best.
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Burbrick.
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, the next item on our agenda then is Action Memorandum 20-072, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a 3-year contract with First National Bank, Alaska, to provide banking services. Councilman Best, since you asked to have this moved, do you want to have a staff report, or you have, I guess maybe we should get a motion to approve first. Let me get a motion to approve first, sir, and then, okay, Deputy Mayor Combs has moved, and Councilwoman, I don't know, Valerius or Burbrick, whichever one, they both had their hands up at the same time when I looked up. So, any discussion on that motion, Councilman Best? I will recognize you now for your questions or comments regarding this action memorandum.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And actually, this was part of my oversight in my notes. I had blocked off the action memorandum, and when I thought I had caught myself stating the wrong number, I actually should not have included this one because this was a fairly simple process, and I do apologize.
No problem. Okay.
But I mean, since we're here, short staff report, and I think we're good to go.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, so every 3 years, City of Palmer goes out for banking services. We competitively bid banking services. Our current bank is First National Bank of Alaska. There was independent evaluation by myself, finance director, and finance manager. We came to the same conclusion that First National Bank was more cost-effective and better, but the needs better for the City of Palmer, and request approval of a 3-year banking service contract with First National Bank of Alaska.
Other council comments? Any amendments to the motion? Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Oh, Councilman Best, go ahead.
And thank you, Madam Mayor. And just for consistency wise, can you explain why in this contract situation with our local banks, that there was the contractual amount in the memorandum, but in the previous memorandum, when there was multiple that had bid on something, there was not a divulging of the contract amounts or the what had been submitted in the bids.
So can I ask a clarifying question? Are you referring, Councilman Best, to this specific agreement, or this agreement compared to other agreements?
This specific agreement in our packet with 2 action memorandums, 71 and 72, both were kind of bid situations. In this one, in particular, in 72, we actually divulged the bid amount for the monthly fee that had been presented, but in the previous, in 71, there was no amounts being expressed to council or the public, and I'm just curious why it's here but not in the last one.
Okay, so I'm more than happy to explain. So in 20.072, the City of Palmer went out and did a contract proposal for banking services. So we actually held a bidding process for those services, which showed the results of that bidding process. 20-071, what we have done is we are asking for a sole source contract. So the City of Palmer did not individually go out to bid. There was another government agency that put this out in March, and a lot of that detail that you have in your packet kind of refers to the process. If you would like me to get and provide that for you, I think it's probably like 80 pages of that whole bidding process. Now, I judge that was not important to you, but I can do that in the future on this. But this is a sole source contract that was actually competitively bid out. And the reason we did the sole source contract and brought it to you is because, number one, the requirements of the COVID grant funds have to be expended and put into place before December 30th. So really two different processes, and that's why you're seeing a difference between both of them.
I do appreciate that explanation.
Okay, any further questions or comments, amendments from the council regarding this action memorandum? Okay, Madam Clerk, I think we're ready then for you to take the roll and the vote on action memorandum 20-072.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs.
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Burbrick.
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best.
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Yes.
Councilmember Jill Valerius.
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is action memorandum 20-073, amending action memorandum number 20-065, authorizing the city manager to purchase a fire department fit testing unit using CARES Act funds. City manager, do you want to go ahead and address the need
Yes,
for this,
this is fit testing. What it does is it allows us to fit test each piece of equipment for our firefighters. We're scuba and N95 fit testing. This is a safety issue. We felt comfortable using the COVID CARES money to do so. We have interim chief, Mr. Ladine here tonight. But this is just something that we should have had. This is equipment that will allow our volunteers to go in and really give us another level and security of protection while they're saving our property and saving lives for us.
Okay. Ready? What is the wishes of the council on action memorandum number 20-073? Yes, Councilwoman Valerius?
Move to approve, please.
Okay. Okay, Deputy Mayor, seconded. Okay, discussion, questions, amendments to the motion from the council?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Best?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In action memorandum 2071, we have a not to exceed $120,000 stipulated in the approval agenda. In the action memorandum 073, we don't have an amount in the action memorandum in the approval agenda. I think that might be, so it's 60,000 some change. I think it would be important for us to make sure that we are consistent. If this is a not to exceed or if it's just a purchase price, to at least reflect that in our action memorandum in the approval agenda aspect of it, in the consent agenda.
Mayor, we'd be happy to do that.
Okay. All right. Okay, any further questions or comments from the council regarding this action memorandum? Okay, and we don't need to have any amendment or anything, you're fine, okay. Okay, all right. Okay, Madam Clerk, then if you would take, oh, I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor Combs?
It does say it up in the top subject area already in the not to exceed. On the subject, the very last line says amount not to exceed $16,685. I guess I'm not seeing how that's different than.
That was the previously adopted one she's reading.
Yeah, because this was a previously, yes, Councilman Best.
And I appreciate that. I was talking about the approval of consent agenda. If you look at the items in D, we stipulate 120,000, and then in C and D, D and E, we don't have an amount indicated in this, so we can probably start moving through it. It wouldn't pop.
right.
Got it.
I appreciate that.
Just consistency, I think.
Entitling.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Councilwoman Berberich, did you have your hand up or were you adjusting something there?
I did have my hand up, I'm sorry. So can we just assume that we should make the same, or do we need to wait until we're talking about the, action memorandum 20-074?
It's been moved to the floor, so we have to talk about it separately.
Okay. So everybody's clear on that? Everybody okay now? Okay. Ready? So if you would ask for the approval then of action memorandum 20-073.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Joe Valerius?
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels?
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best?
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Berberich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs?
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Alrighty, the next item on the agenda is action memorandum 20-074. Amending action memorandum 20-067, authorizing the city manager to purchase the fire department washers using CARES Act funds. What is the wishes of the council? Do you need a staff report before you make a motion, or is there a motion? Yeah, Councilwoman Valerius, go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve.
Okay. Councilman Best, Councilman Best, were you going to second it, or did you have a question before I recognize the motion?
I'll yield.
Okay, all right. So we have Deputy Mayor Combs seconded. So we have a motion on the floor to approve, and I'll recognize you, Councilman Best, then for your input.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Same consistency issue when it comes to the consent agenda, to have the amount as well. And, really, my intention with all these coming forward is when we're extending some of these CARES Acts, I know that we want to be as expedient as possible, but I think the general public, because it's the grant assurances that we give and the, we want to show the public that we're doing our due diligence to have many of these discussions, to have kind of poke and prod and question the management and the administration on and how these funds are spent. I know that we have good intentions, but I think part of that public process to just put on the consent agenda and kind of not have the opportunity to hear the management or the administration kind of express need, I think it's very important to have. So I appreciate everybody's indulgence with this. So thank you.
Further questions or comments from the council, amendments to the motion? Okay, Madam Clerk, I think we're ready to take the roll then on the approval of the motion to approve action memorandum number 20-074.
Councilmember Joe Valerius? Councilmember Brian Daniels?
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best?
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Berberich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs?
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, the next item is records of items placed on the table. Madam Clerk, do we have items?
We do not tonight.
Okay. The next item is audience participation. Anyone is welcome to address the council for 3 minutes, 5 minutes if you're representing a group. Audience participation is now open.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mike Malewski. I live at 325 East Farwood Avenue here in Palmer. I am very, very happy to hear that there is a effort to improve the system here. Lo, these many years, I have played with the dials and adjusted and et cetera. But I also have experience with the school board, which once met in the library of the Palmer High School and moved over through that period. And I'm more recently, Mr. Musi was over at the borough, had the opportunity to work a bit with the IT director there and this borough clerk as they were looking at essentially the same questions that you have been raising. How do you safely and efficiently involve people in this whole process? And I think I have no comments to make about the specific equipment that you're going to be working with. I trust the administration and the provider to walk through that. What I've learned over a variety of different circumstances is that the key piece to it all is to make sure the intention is clear. So for example, in here, just this evening, I've been receiving texts about people who are either watching the video or listening. And the most concerning piece is that the Zoom audio is just terrible. And I note that because I can look at you as you try to listen and hear what's happening. Your audio is great. I commend you all. And so listeners out there know what you're saying, but all they're hearing is kind of a rumble from outside. And I think all of that is fixable. It is absolutely fixable, and I think that will be number one thing that will improve things. Also, I believe that involving people telephonically or as part of the Zoom system you're using, whatever system you use, is doable. We manage a whole variety of Zoom meetings. In fact, the Palmer Chamber utilizes some of the resources that we have in order to do their work, and they do it very well. And it can be done. And I think keeping in mind that at the end of the day, when it's all installed, you know, here's what we wanted to do. Does it do it? Can we hear? Is it easy to operate? Those are things that you keep in mind. I know you're going to do that, and I just wanted to commend you in taking those steps. Thank you.
Anyone else like to address the council? Okay.
He's done.
See no one, I will close audience participation, and we'll have council comments, and I'll start this evening with Councilman Daniels.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to start with saying thank you to Bruce for his many years of service to the city of Palmer. I wanted to say thanks to Sam for your presentation on the behalf of the Palmer Museum. Thank you, Stu, for coming out and updating on the AML. I will be attending those newly elected official sessions. Look forward to it. Thanks to Ailish and all the work that Palmer Chamber of Commerce does for the city. And Mike, thank you very much. I talked to some people earlier tonight, and they wanted me to thank you for providing the ability to watch the meeting over stream during these tough times. Thank you to Norma and the city staff for pulling through in this crazy election. I'm honored to sit here with everybody, and I look forward to serve with everybody on the council and in the city. So thank you.
Councilman Carrington?
Well, I want to welcome Councilman Daniels and echo all of his thanks. I would particularly note that I thought Sam did a great job presenting on the museum, and he proves that he has endurance because he stayed to the end. I'm not sure why, but I noticed.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Combs, comments?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you to Sam and the staff at the Palmer Museum and Visitor Center. It's great to see that they're using their downtime wisely to get other things accomplished and scheme new ideas for generating traffic and revenue as the world hopefully gets back to a semblance of normal next year. Thank you to Palmer Chamber for all the things that they're doing. I hope that we don't set any new records for low temperatures on the parade this year. I can't handle it. And I'm really excited about our planning session. It's super needed, and January will be a good time to get it done. And then just to reiterate what Mr. Stu Graham said tonight about AML, I know we are all very Zoom weary and tired, but I think it's really important to attend as many There's a lot of good information that's gonna be shared this year, so please do your best to get on there and join as many sessions as you can. So, thank you.
Councilwoman Berberick?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome Councilman Daniels again this evening to his first council meeting. I'd also like to thank Sam for coming and giving the presentation. I think he does a great job for the museum and for the city of Palmer. It's been a tough year, and as Councilwoman Combs said, it's exciting that they're able to use the downtime and the funds to make some changes at the museum. So we're looking forward to that, and thank Ailish for coming and giving a presentation. It's always interesting to hear what's going on. They do such a great job at the Chamber of Commerce for the businesses in our town, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilman Best?
Madam Mayor.
Uh-huh.
George Coleman at the golf course, hats off. He runs a great group out there. He manages the city facilities in a very professional manner. He's always looking at ways to try to improve play for the local golfers, and just hats off to him. Can't appreciate him enough. We have enjoyed the stewardship of him out there for many years, and hope for many more to come. Winter is starting to come upon us. Things are starting to get a little cool. Be mindful of the citizens around here. Food security is an issue right now, and with so many people in need, our local food banks are needing support. So kind of a shout out to them, and to keep it in your mind that there's many members of our community that we're starting to hear that are having difficulties as we go into wintertime, and it's going to kind of hit a little bit harder even more. So keep them in your prayers, and continue to try to push some of these organizations up the hill and help them out there. Thank you.
Councilwoman Valerius? Comments?
Madam Mayor, I think most everything's been stated, but I too would like to welcome Mr. Daniels to the council, and you made it to your first meeting, so.
So with that, I will adjourn the meeting.